Good evening, everyone. My name is Rachel Richards. I am so excited to be with you this night, and I have an incredible guest that I'll introduce in just a moment. But I just want to hear the chat kind of get going. How many of you are in the Mind and Body Challenge? Drop a one if you're joining us. Yes, I love it. We have extra value for you guys tonight. So much good stuff. We're going to focus on mental push-ups and really your mindset tonight. I would imagine that most of your temptations and most of your deviations are coming from your mind long before they're happening in your body. So let's talk about that. Let's roll up our sleeves, have some fun, discuss some things that will really forward you. And I've been in this community about 8 years now coaching, and I love it. I was transformed. I have a background in integrated nutrition and holistic well-being. And I brought Optavia into my practice about 8 years ago as an incredible protocol, but it turned into so much more than that. A community, a bunch of new friends, a bunch of new business partners. It's just been a blessing. So I come from that perspective tonight, and I do hope to give you lots of value along with my husband and my guest, Tim Richards. And he also has been coaching and helping so many people, starting with himself. He's got an incredible transformation in every capacity, the trifecta, right? Body, mind, purpose, and fulfillment. So it's buckle up because we have lots of good things for you, speaking from experience and our growth. So with that, Tim, welcome. I'm super excited. I want to say honey because, he's my honey. So we're so excited. We would love to kick it off with this understanding that most of what's happening, you're going to be at a fork in the road at some point in any type of transformation. What do I mean? Well, you can either, tonight's topic, you can either fight the old or you can create new. You have a decision right now as you sit here listening to this podcast or watching it with us online through Facebook or what have you. And if you are with us on the podcast, I need your ears tuned up because tonight you have a decision to make with us in this community. Do you want to fight the old or do you want to create the new? Let me see some sevens for anybody that is tired of fighting the old programming and is ready to create something new with a lot more energy and excitement. So with that, we're going to talk about old programming. We're going to talk about what that might look like. And I want to start with you, Tim, if you could help us understand when we think about running old programs that may not serve us any longer, whether that's diet mentality or what we call the I am statements. I am blank,
Yeah.
right? And can you help us tonight with these I am statements and how powerful that is in language and when it comes to our transformation and what that's really doing to our journey? So,
Yeah.
what are some of those I am statements that we need to look out for?
Well, good evening, everybody. I think, one of the things that I just want to, kind of put out there because I think it's important is language. You've heard it said before is the house of meaning. And we are meaning making machines, aren't we? And so when you think about using language, it can be a double-edged sword. It can be something that can transform your life, or it can be something that keeps you in a loop, continuing to run the same programs that aren't bearing fruit and causing a lot of frustration. So, as far as I am programming, those are considered what are called master programs. And they typically, I'll just speak for myself. They were running in the background and I had no idea. I was using language, um, like many of you, that said, I'm a big guy, and a big guy has a big appetite. And I work hard. I'm a hard worker, and hard workers have to, you fill in the blank. Um, all of those I am statements aren't necessarily bad, and that's not what we're here to talk about, bad or good. I think what you really want to start to assess for yourself is how is that working out for you? And some of those statements that I would make for myself, they were just causing me to really just be stuck in a place where I was creating the very problems that I was trying so hard to work against. And they manifested themselves, whether it be in my sleep habits, overextending myself, being the most I am responsible, and I took that to mean I had to overserve and overextend to the point where I was not taking care of myself and my health. And so once I identified those things, and once you identify them for yourself, it can be, as we've heard, Rachel and I have heard from some very close friends of ours. It can be raindrop quick. It can be that quick for you that you can identify the language that you're using and start to immediately new language that really empowers you to really start to create something new in your life, as opposed to trying to stop and put the brakes on something. How about creating something new? We are designed to create things, and we do that much better than stopping. So because we're human beings, we're about being and doing. And so for me and to you, I would suggest taking on, watching or being aware of the language you're using about yourself.
I love that. And just for your information, Tim is a health coach and fireman first responder. So those identities that we claim, right? They're what we do, but they're not who we are. And we get to define that. We get to really define who we are, what we're up to, where we're heading. And as a dear friend of mine says, we get to point the car, right? We get to point the car in the direction that we wish to go. And sometimes the strongest I am statement. So I want the chat to kind of get lively. And I want to know the I am statement that you might say the most when it comes to your transformation. Just flood the chat. There's lots of interaction within the chat, and I encourage you to use it. I'm going to give you one of mine that I used is I am a perfectionist, right? So I used perfection to procrastinate, and the procrastination kept me in loops that were not serving me. That became a master program where I had to work under pressure. So how many extremists are in the group, right? Where you may say, I'm an extremist. I hear this one a lot. I am all or nothing, right? So you're going to hear that a lot. And honestly, these statements, what I'm going to do is challenge you tonight to write down somewhere that I am statement that has not served you, and let your coach know who it is, or this community, or those beautiful wing calls that we have, and really work this out. Because once you can let go of that, and I keep saying in the chat, I am headed in a healthier direction. I am a healthy person. A healthy person makes healthy choices. So once you set your car in that direction, that's where you're going to go, versus telling yourself something like, I'm all or nothing. That programming, remember guys, that your master programs can be deinstalled, but when they're deinstalled, I want you to hear something really important. You're going to have to run new software. So imagine taking something off of your hard drive and not having a replacement program to run on. So that's where we get anxious, because we're like, well, I know to not do these things, but what is it that I should be doing to run a new program to point that car in a new direction to attain what I want most? Okay. So we're going to dig into this a little bit more geekier. We're going to get a little nerdy tonight. It's for your benefit. If you're on the podcast, don't worry about it. I'm going to guide you through it if you can't see our screen. But if you can, I'm really excited to share with you that how many of you know that energy, right? We all have the body is one big battery, right? So when you're walking on the beach, you can feel the beach charging you up. You are one big battery, the human being. Chemicals come from emotions. So your emotions actually make chemicals that go in your body. And we really want to look at, well, if I'm up to something new, then in which direction and which mindset do I want to have? And so I'm showing you a scale of consciousness tonight. So what I have found as a coach, coaching people for 8 years, is oftentimes when someone sets out to do something new, they're using, if you will, too low of an energy source to make that change. What am I talking about? Well, look at the bottom of the scale of consciousness. Blame and shame. How can we make something new with blame and shame? So, how many of you would say, I have shamed my body, or I have said things to myself, or I have blamed other people for my lack of success in my transformation journey? And no judgment. Tonight, I want you to take all self judgment and get rid of it. We're here to learn, we're here to be curious. This is how we've never been human beings before, and we're just being humans. So let's just be gentle tonight as we look at these things and just be curious how to employ them for your transformation. So look how low on the energy scale blame, shame, apathy, fear, right? And so these are some of the ways that I have seen people try to create transformation, and they're not successful for very long because they are using such low, let's call it frequency, okay, to even be able to create something new. And tonight, Tim and I, want to inspire you to say and do things that are higher in energetic resource so that you can break through and create a new identity. If that sounds good to you, lean in for the rest of the call, and we're really going to unpack that. So, Tim, can you help us with, in terms of your identity, some of those I am statements, and even some of the energy sources that you might have been using that were useful, because they're not bad. It's just some are more energetically charging than others, right? Help us understand your transformation, because your physical transformation was pretty profound. So can you kind of take us through like that, and also how you were using lower energies because you just didn't know, and maybe some I am statements because you just didn't know?
Yeah. I would, if you can put that chart back up, Chris, I'd
Sure.
be able to show this. First of all, I just want to point out, and Rachel's already said this, but it's worth highlighting. Our mind wants to make the top better and the bottom worse. And what I want you to understand is that all of you already understand this chart. And I'm going to explain it to you how you do. How many of you put in the chat at number 6, if you've ever walked in a room and knew right away that 2 people that you walked into the room with were fighting? Right? How many 6s we got? A lot of 6s blowing up here? Yeah, that's what I thought. If you grew up in a house like that, you knew when you walked in the front door. Unfortunately, if your parents maybe had an argument, right? Or something was wrong. Or if something was right? And you felt that love and connection between 2 people. And my point in saying this to you is the danger is that you're making these things wrong. And what I want you to understand is, in order to have the transformation that you're looking for, it has to come from the inside out. And what Rachel said so powerfully was that we are responsible for the chemicals we're creating, meaning these feelings. And so I understand you're not going to be able to create from shame for very long, right? It drains your body's energy to do so. It doesn't feel good to do so. Those chemicals you have to detox from, right? And so what I want to tell you my story, in that when I first started learning how to be healthy physically, I was very hard on myself about if I made a mistake, or forgot to eat in 3 hours, or if I ate the wrong thing, right? Or as a perfectionist, I didn't do those things. And so sometimes it created problems with my wife, or with family members, because I was like, nope, I got to do it this way. And it was just one of those things that didn't feel good to other people. And I'm saying this to you because I think it's important that you go along this journey with a lot of compassion for yourself, and to see that you're going to make mistakes, right? And part of changing is really that you go about it consistently. And really for me and my story, consistency has really been about learning and growing and learning and practicing new skills every single day and failing at them, and really the opportunity to learn from that failure, right? When I would get upset, right, and I would feel like wanting to have a drink or wanting to have something to eat to feel better, it gave me an opportunity to teach me something. It'll give you an opportunity to learn something about yourself. And by looking at the scale, you have the opportunity to go, I'm not going to go to shame, because shame isn't going to help me to create anything, right? I want to be in a place where ultimately I can look at everything that's happening to me from a place of neutrality, right? That nothing that happens is going to throw me off balance, because I'm not a robot. I'm just a human being in this world, and things are happening around me, and I get the opportunity to learn from them, right? I get the opportunity to challenge myself. I get the opportunity to create something new every single day or every 3 hours, right? So you have the opportunity to take that paradigm that we've all grown up and turn it the other way around and look at the situation, every opportunity as a new opportunity to create something new. So my challenge to all of you is to take this journey with us, utilize all of the tools that we have. This community is phenomenal. And I know we're going to talk about it, but I can tell you part of this new programming comes with practices like breath work. If you've been on the wind calls, it's a powerful tool. And I don't want to get ahead of it, but I just want to say that is one very powerful thing that you can do to start to help you regulate your energy. When you start to feel shame, when you start to feel guilt, you can use these practices, and that we have great tools to offer you to help you along your journey with this.
I love that. So good. So, as you guys are hearing this, what are we going to deinstall, right? So, not because we're bad or any of that, but because there's just a program currently running. If you can identify it and if you can see it, you can change it. So, as you're looking at this scale of consciousness, if you realize, oh, wait a minute, most of my decisions every week are made from fear, oh, or a guilt or apathy or shame or pride. Like maybe look at pride, it's higher than fear, right? But go higher with me. Look at love. Look at love. I want to look at love, joy, peace, acceptance. Like I'm going to give you an example, a very personal example, and I hope that this resonates with someone. For the longest time, I shamed my hips. I have bigger hips than most. And I would talk ugly to my body about that. And I would say, well, I like my arms and I like my legs and I like, but my hips are so wide. And I would talk negatively and think negatively and be ashamed of certain parts of my body. And no wonder I couldn't see change in that area. Okay. Because I was speaking to this part of my body in a really low frequency place. So instead, I said, I don't want low frequency. It costs me nothing, monetarily, especially to start talking to my body in ways that are loving and say, these hips birthed 4 beautiful babies. These hips have carried me. These hips have carried my babies when on my hips, quite literally, right? Or my grandbabies on my hips. And that I love the way that my body is made and that I will do work to further heal my body, but it's my joy to do it. And that I like the way my body looks and it's a work in progress. So just by speaking and actually like loving on my own hips with touch and rolling and doing yoga and saying, this is an area of opportunity, but I'm not going to hate myself healthy. And neither are you, because it's too low for you to create something new. Are you with me tonight? Are you guys tracking? So we're going to try on something new this week. Instead of fighting the old or fighting the thing that is a work in progress, I'm going to love it, reason with it, accept it, and go in a peaceful way to heal this, right? And use these higher energy sources to create my transformation.
Mm.
I want you to think of this practical example of, have you ever walked in a room that you want to redo? Okay, maybe it's your living room, or maybe it's your office or your playroom, and you start trying to fix it while everything is in there, and you just kind of get frustrated. But as soon as you take everything out of the room, everything is in the hallway now, and you get to choose what goes back in. That's what I'm asking you to do tonight. It's okay that it hasn't worked great this far, but as Tim said, we have seen transformation be raindrop quick, like that, once somebody has a mindset change. And that's what we're offering you tonight. You can have it raindrop quick. If you think it's going to take a very long, laborious time, then you've already put that in the field of your transformation, okay? So the other thing that is up here on the screen, and I want to really point you to your life book. Our life book has, Dr. A has all of this in your books. He talks about lower levels of consciousness, that Labrador brain, right? Lizard brain, human brain. He talks about the empowerment triangle and obviously the disempowering triangle, right? And so if you're like, where is this in my books? You should know page 109 and 113 in your life book. And I do encourage you to write in your life book and write these I am statements, and I am becoming, and I love this about my body, and I'm going to love myself healthy, because that's the reprogramming. So remember, you can deinstall, but I'm going to ask you tonight, out of our program, knowing that only 25% of it is food, how are you reprogramming? If you're on this call, kudos to you. That's a way. If you show up for win the day calls and community calls, and meet up with your coach or talk to your coach in a semi-regular way so you can process, that's all the reprogramming. If you're just doing the food, you've got 25% of the reprogramming potential, because the food is not the transformation. It's just the tool that we use to work on this mind that keeps sabotaging us, right? So with that, Tim, I have a question for you. So when you think about Dr. A's conscious leadership forums and all of the events that we started going to many years ago, where we just, man, guys, we never missed an event. We really didn't. If it was offered and we were able, we were there. Talk to me a little bit about how you moved from food centricity, or even exercise, because you being a fireman paramedic, exercise was paramount to your career. But when did you, from Dr. A and Optavia, really start seeing the consciousness and partaking in that, and how did that go for you?
Yeah, I think for me, I had so many great coaches along the way that really challenged me to really upgrade my thinking. And in fact, one of the best questions I was asked by one of my coaches was, "How many books are you reading right now?" And I just said to him, an I am statement: "I'm not a reader." And here's the funny thing: that came from when I was in school, and I didn't enjoy reading. Whatever I was reading at the time, it wasn't enjoyable to me. It was work. And can I tell you, I'm a reader. I love reading. I enjoy reading. I love reading to my grandchildren. I love reading the Bible to my wife. I love reading. I love learning new information. And how I learn it better is by teaching other people and sharing what I'm learning. And I could just tell you, the conscious leadership forums are a great opportunity to upgrade the programming that you have, the way that you see the world, your perspective. And Dr. A has done an amazing service to this community and to this world. And I'm so grateful for the gift of Optavia. It has blessed us in so many ways. But I would say that for me, it's given me the ability to have such richer conversations with people, and even to be able to see different perspectives without judgment. And that's just such a gift. And so I challenge you, every opportunity that Optavia throws your way to upgrade your programming, whether it be on these community calls or the Conscious Leadership Forum with Dr. A, and Dan Bale. I know he's a guest at times, and he's an amazing asset to Optavia as well. Your coach, conversations with your coach, your life book, your habits health book. I mean, guys, this stuff is amazing. What he's put into it is invaluable. I use it on a daily basis. That empowerment triangle is something that I've had to memorize for myself because it's something that I use to challenge the thoughts. It's interconnected with that energy chart that Rachel had mentioned earlier, the scale of consciousness. Because if you think about it, we are responsible for the chemicals we're creating, the emotions that we're creating. So when you wake up in the morning and maybe your coach says to you, practice gratitude, right? In essence, what they're saying is it's your responsibility to start creating in your home or in your day joy, right? You get to decide, right? I can't tell you how many times where I was going through a funk and I'd be waking up in the morning and already creating, whether it be guilt or shame or apathy or whatever it might be, anger, anxiety, all of the things. And guess who else would wake up next to me, or I should go like that, next to me and feeling the same way? Weird, right? And so then we're wondering, like, what's happening today? Are we going to have a bad day today? Right? I mean, talk about radical responsibility. Start with just yourself, be gentle, and just understand, look, this is a practice that I'm going to look at every day. And I get to decide how I'm going to feel. And guess what? I'm going to influence the sphere of influence around me, whether it's your spouse or your children. You get to decide the temperature in your home. And so be a good thermometer. Read the room, and then challenge yourself to create the energy in the room that you want to feel and you want to experience and you want everyone else to experience. So I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely. And I got to watch just the power of this, guys, and we're going to really close things up with some great tools for you. But the power of this is Tim did not come into this, I'm going to lose weight. Okay. That's one way that you can come in. But what he declared and he pointed the car to was a complete body composition change, a complete mindset change, and a complete new identity because he didn't want to fight the old. Remember that food is just source code, right? But these master programs that are running in the background, these I am statements, these blame cycles or shame cycles. I would love you also to identify anybody that you have blamed for, oh, my husband's not supportive, my coworker sabotaged me. Guys, I want you to really look at shame and blame and deinstall it this week. Identify it so you can clear the cache, and then we're going to replace it with languages and behaviors that are far higher on the creation scale so that you can create something new. With that, gosh, I cannot believe our time is up. I had so many more notes, but that's okay. We really did cover quite a bit of ground. I definitely want to talk to our brain and body reset challengers and let you know, thank you for tuning in. 5 points for your challenge is recorded. If you can write down create, CREATE, it is, you must spell it correctly. Create, create, create. It's our word. Make sure that you note that for your challenge so you snag those 5 points. And next week, we have an incredible treat. Guys, there's going to be 15 extra minutes or more on next week's call, and you're going to want it because Amber and Jared Smithson have a metabolic mastery class for you next week. These guys are top notch. They are OGs. I don't even know how many years. I want to say like 16 years that they have been walking the talk and loving on people and leading from the front and just sharing from their hearts. So you'll want the extra 15 minutes. Provide for it next week if it's going over. That is intended because there's just so much value in this for all of you. please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll want to keep these replays on repeat because if you're anything like me, you've got to lay that program many times before it becomes permanent and a part of your limbic brain, right? It wants to run the program. So it's like, hey, if you don't have a program, I got one. How about self-sabotage, right? So we want to have podcasts ready on our phones. Our podcast and our YouTube channel are here. So please tune in. Tim, thank you so much for just your openness and your sharing. We hope that we moved you forward one notch mentally. And next week, you're going to get moved forward a couple notches as it comes to geeking out and getting nerdy on metabolic mastery. So thank you guys for tuning in. You've been incredible guests tonight, and we'll see you next week.